All right, Julie. It might be a little interesting for me today on our recording because, well, we're recording, but because today I only have my laptop. I usually have another monitor where I have the OBS software over there and you and I over here in front of me, and I don't have that today. So I'm kind of one monitor to do both, but I think we'll manage okay. I just got to do a little more toggling back and forth. But all right, so it's been a while since we sat down to chat, like months. And kind of shame on us because we enjoy it and it's an opportunity for us to just to be all nerd out on D&D and to personal growth as a DM. But it's funny because
Life gets in the way.
I was looking through some of our notes trying to come up with topics right for us to talk about today and talk about DM growth. You had sent me a message some months back saying, "Oh, maybe you should reach out to Chase. He'd be good. He's good at identifying, where I'm struggling." I was like, "All right."
Holes. Yeah, he's good at pointing gently. He's not an asshole about it. Gently pointing out, well, here's my opinion. If you want to do it this way, he does that a lot. Here's my opinion. You don't have to do it, but here's my opinion. And so he points out that, hey, you specifically might take a little too long during combat. You don't remember Polarity's AC. You do the math out loud. Like maybe there are some places where you could increase your whatever your speed, because a lot of my table is about speed, getting through combat faster, getting through a skill check faster, getting through role play faster. Well, maybe not role play. I think we take our time with role play. I don't think I ever want to speed up role
Yeah.
play, but because that's the point. You want to like get in there with role play, but like speed up exploration, speed up things that aren't 100% need to be horribly miserably long and grindy, because when it starts to grind is when it starts to get boring, right? And we don't want a boring game. No DM wants to give out a boring game.
So
That's like
I'll
that's like
I'll
one of
definitely
the
agree with you on that. However, I do
feedbacks.
challenge you on saying, speed up combat, speed up exploration, but let's go do like normal pace or let's go slow on social role play. But I don't fully agree with that. Sometimes you do want to speed that up because they'll get distracted and they'll start just chit chatting about nothing,
They do.
or
They do.
nothing that's really going
They
to
do.
add to the
Side
to,
conversations.
to
My
the
table's not locked in.
to the
They're full of
exploration of the
ADHD.
game, right? Because when they're in social role play with NPCs, they're trying to create a rapport. Why are they trying to create a rapport? Because they want to get information. They want to have that knowledge because that NPC knows something. Local lore. They know what the quest is about. They have a key piece. So that's why that's there. But if they get too distracted and start asking like all the wrong questions, as the DM, sometimes you got to kind of guide them back on path to speed it up. Otherwise, it's going to take us 5 hours to find out one piece of information. I'll parallel that, if you will, to trying to get support, whether it be customer service, tech support, HR at work, whatever it is, and they want you to contact them by email. And you volley emails back and forth for like 2 days. You
And
know,
you're like, this could have been a 20-minute phone call.
this could have been a 5 minute phone call, and this is dragging out for 3 days and 15 paragraphs trying to explain everything. So, sometimes you just need to pick up that phone and call, and sometimes the DM just needs to, pick up that phone and kind of nudge them along or nudge them in the right direction or redirect
That's
them
when
to
I do
someplace else, and then we'll come back to that.
that's when I do segues. I'll segue, and I'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"This is great. I love what you guys are doing, but I'm a segue.
yeah.
I'm gonna segue.
Yep,
What are you doing?
we're
We're
just gonna
going.
move
Let's.
on because we become
I'm
stagnant.
just gonna
We've gotten
teleport you
stuck.
somewhere,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. So, all right, but either way,
You
I
guys magically appear in front of the tavern.
you had said that to me, and I just now forwarded him that message and said, "Hey, Julie said this. Do you want to sit down and talk a little bit and see how we can further help Julie? Because it sounds like she wants to continue to improve her skills as a DM."
Oh yeah, there's also in the store chat. I won't say accidentally. I got really frustrated at some point in time about how my story fell apart on accident. Not on accident. It was my fault. It was totally 100% my fault because I didn't give the table enough of a thematic reason to do what I expected them to, and they proceeded to not do something I expected, and then I ended up killing a player because of unintended consequences that I wasn't expecting. I mean, it all worked out. It then gave the party this huge motivation to do whatever they had to do. But I I got really frustrated personally, and then I was like making a bunch of excuses so that I could win, and then I felt so bad.
hang on. Stop the train right there. First of all, let's clarify. You did not kill a player. A character died. Let's just clarify that.
That's true. Yes, yes. I killed a
No one was
character.
murdered.
No, no, no
No one was
physical
murdered.
people were harmed in my
There were
temper
no
tantrum.
crimes committed. And no charges need to be brought.
No.
No warrants need to be issued. However, I will issue perhaps a D&D summons for you, Julie.
And my
For,
my table was like, no, you gave us what we basically asking for. Like, no, that was an intended consequence. No
no,
one's mad
but
about it. And I'm like,
but
my
I
God.
I'm gonna give you the summons for the deposition because I want to know why you just said I wanted to win.
I wanted my plan to work, I guess is more along those lines. I became it became player versus DM in my own brain. Ugh.
And okay, obviously,
It was unintentional. I
yeah. So
hated
say
it. I got really
sometimes that
upset
happens. It
afterward.
happens, right? Sometimes as a DM, sometimes we can kind of fall into that mindset, but it's not the mindset we want to
No, your
embrace, and we
spell
want to
doesn't
break
work.
free from
I
that.
win.
Yeah. Yeah, in part because there is no winning or losing, right? And also because the DM is a player
I
just
felt
like
so
every
bad.
other player at the table. It's just that they have a different role. They don't have a single character that they're role playing out. So it's a different role, but they're still a player just the same. So anyway, so um,
Excuse me.
it has been quite some time since we've chatted. So hopefully we kind of get ourselves on at least somewhat of a regular pattern here, whether it be once a month, once a week, whatever it is, versus very
Did
haphazard we've been here for the past 3 4 months.
did Chase respond to the message?
He's always been slow for me. I don't think he's super,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
he's no
So
on Discord.
and
No,
I
he's
just
not.
sent it out to him this morning, just a half hour ago.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
like I'll give him a week and see if he responds. So
probably.
all right. So
Yeah,
one of the things we've brought up
slow
before
living.
was how different a 1E module is compared to a 5E or 5E to 1E, right?
We also
Because
talked about like player creation in that sense as well.
yeah, as to what's involved
Yeah,
in
yeah,
character
yeah, yeah.
creation. So this morning, I just a little while ago, I sent you a copy of Against the Cult of the Reptile God, which I think is module N1, I think, for first edition, AD&D. In part because you're a little familiar with that. We just finished playing that a couple months ago, and I think it's a whopping 35 pages.
It is
Now we compare that
36.
to Curse of Strahd, which you are in the middle
There's
of.
fluff. There's so much fluff.
There is 258 pages in that
There,
campaign book.
there is, and this isn't even one of
258
the.
pages.
This isn't even one of the thicker ones. I think there's a couple of them that are even thicker than this.
So that's
I don't know if
that'd be like
Dragonlance or like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that'd be like 7 first edition modules.
A lot of it is for me though. When I was reading this, I guess I was listening to a guy read it out loud. Um, so when I was like reading it, I I had a guy read it to me, and uh I was like, my players aren't going to need to know any of this. My players aren't going to need to know any of this. This is for me, I guess. This is for me, I guess. Just over and over and over again. And it's just because if I don't have that background information to make it seem, I guess, real, is what their thought process was. I mean, this is back in 2014, so it's been a minute. But like a lot of it is just so much like fluff for me, like background history of a town. Like,
So
Strahd's a whole complex story because he's a complex character. It's like 5 pages. It's like a bunch of pages.
I'm looking at it now and I'm laughing because on the credits page it says this book, referring to the Curse of Strahd, this book, this 258 page book is based upon a 32 page D&D module adventure Ravenloft, published in 1983. So they went from 32 pages, they acknowledge that, 32 pages up to 258.
Yes,
So
but
in
that's because
1983, 32 pages were sufficient, but it's not sufficient anymore.
in 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 that defense, Ravenloft is just the castle and the city of Barovia, and it's unnamed. It's just the castle and the city of Barovia. In this module now, chapter 4 is the entire castle. Chapter 4 is, and I'll go find it really quick. I can't. How does one use this PDF viewer? Yeah, yeah. Chapter 4 is page 49 to 79.
Okay, let me jump ahead to that.
That's the castle. It has
Hang
a
on.
pretty
Okay, page 49 of the PDF. I see it. Chapter 4, Castle Ravenloft.
it has a, and this stupid PDF viewer isn't gonna let me do anything. Hello. Oh, I'm on 84. I need to go back. It has a really like old school classic map feel. The maps are very old school feeling. Um, but and they're complicated and I hate them. Um, so like I feel like a lot of that is probably mostly pulled directly from old school Ravenloft. I don't know how much of it actually is, but um it describes like what happens in the castle, and then it describes the monsters you can find in the castle. So it gives a brief description of all the monsters because some of them are special to Curse of Strahd. You can't find them in the monster manual.
Yeah,
And then
and that was common back in the day too. That because the Monster Manual was first of all if you go back even before the
little
Monster Manual was created, the AD&D Monster Manual, there was only a handful in the basic expert booklets, I'm going to call them, that came with the box sets. And then as they started writing modules, they'd introduce more. So at the end of the module, they'd have whatever 2, 3, 4 new monsters, and then that eventually became all part of Monster Manual, incorporated into that. Then of course they continued to do the same thing with more and more modules coming out after the publication of the original AD&D Monster Manual. They started adding more, and hence Monster Manual 2 and so on. Monster Manual 2 doesn't get enough credit. I think people often overlook that as DMs overlook that, at least when they're looking to insert new flavor
no.
with new monsters, or they're writing their own module or something. They overlook that.
I That's the same with I have the original monster manual for original. I have the 2014 monster manual, but then I also recently bought Volo's Guide to Monsters, which is an
Hmm.
additional supplement for more monsters. But of course, like campaigns have specific monsters. Icewind Dale does that too. It has ice monsters, like specific like Yetis, but Yetis are also in the player's handbook. I mean the monster manual.
Right, right, right.
But they're like use like this stat block found in the back of your book. So there's a little section in the back of campaign modules, and even in Strahd's own stat block is back there of those specific characters found in this specific module.
Okay.
Um,
So we're still seeing whatever 220-page difference, and I get it what you're saying, right?
oh, it's big. It's a lot
There's
of it's bloat
there's more. Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot of bloat, but there's more to it in there.
background.
So all that background, right? So like by comparison, and you and I have kind of scratched the surface on this before. Let me hang on. We've
Well,
scratched.
especially with you did um Saltmarsh, Sinister Secrets of
Yeah,
Saltmarsh,
yeah.
um, where it was like, "Hello, DM. Here's this town. Have a nice day."
Yeah, it didn't have the town. Yeah. So and that's where I was going, right? So in your 1E Ravenloft compared to your 5E Curse of Strahd, like I get it. So Ravenloft was just the town and the castle, or was just the castle, right?
And I
And
don't think even the town had a lot of in it, right?
Curse of
For
Strahd
Ravenloft.
gives you more content. I get that, but
Oh yeah,
what
way
I
more
question
content.
is how much content is there that doesn't need to be there, Watsy, and how much of that content is there that the fact that is there, DMs feel compelled to follow that, right? Just like a player looks at their character sheet and they say, "Oh, this is what I can do, and that's it. This is all. This is my script. This is all that I can follow." Right? As opposed to saying that, "Well, I can try anything, but these are my specialty skills on my sheet." Right? So, how often is a 5e DM going to look at that Curse of Strahd and say, "Oh, this is my script," so to speak? this is the module, this is what I have to do, and it takes
Yeah.
away or doesn't allow them. mm,
As much agency.
yeah, it kind of, I don't want to say it stifles, but it doesn't leave it open-ended enough to for them to insert their own creativity because everything is there. So instead of just inserting what you want, you have to modify what's there.
And I will in your words, since you raised me, I'll raise you back. That I feel like these pre-made modules and pre-made campaigns are for newer DMs that don't know what they're doing, DMs that have never maybe even DM'd at all. And it's their Curse of Strahd is the worst campaign to do your first campaign on. Don't do it. It's bad. Don't do it. This is a PSA. Don't do it. It's rough. It's a large campaign, even though it doesn't look like it's a large campaign. It's rough. Don't do it. But I assume that a lot of this is like for entry level DMs. I mean, some DMs are just busy and they would rather a script to read out of. I've said that before. I work a full time job. Sometimes I just don't have the time to homebrew an entire world. But now I'm running an Eberron campaign as a little break, a little Curse of Strahd break, and I have homebrewed that entire thing using just source material. Um, and I really haven't tapped into source material that much. I've read one half of Rising from the Last War, which is just a entire like book that's like this is the land and all of the details inside of it. Do whatever you want. And I use that source material to make my own campaign. And I've made roughly a 86 page campaign, and it has I don't know like 8 chapters, 9 chapters in it. And 86 pages for 9 chapters isn't that bad. I feel like that's not very bloaty.
Well,
That's
I
very
don't
to the
I
point.
wouldn't
You
say
know,
though that a pre-written
I
campaign
personally
is
wouldn't.
for beginner DMs. I
I mean, a lot of people use them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think that that's a fair assessment. There's many
I
different
think some
reasons why
people
why
like
people use pre-writtens. It's some like you
safety
said,
in them.
it's a time. Sometimes it's a time issue. I don't have time to work from scratch, but I might have enough time to take that and modify it, to tweak it, but not to draft the whole thing. I mean, I have the creativity to draft the whole thing.
Right.
You
I,
know?
I think sometimes it's a chosen limitation, but I agree that maybe people who run these kind of campaigns too often lose that sense of creativity because they do it so often. They don't like push themselves to do something fun. But for me personally, I like to do that for one shots and these breaks, these little tiny breaks. And I usually make my own one shot. And I've made this long shot, I guess I'll call it, because it's a couple months. This long shot, where I like making those, and I use what I learn from these pre-written sources and these pre-written campaigns to kind of make or generate my own template, I guess you could say, overview kind of thing. I don't do it as nicely as they do. I wish I could run. There's a website called GM's Binder, and it's text based, and you have to know all the little like code
Mm.
controls for it. It's awful, but it looks so nice. It looks really nice, and I wish I could like edit stuff like that, especially if I wanted to keep it. Like if I was like, I really like this one shot, I want to keep it forever. If I could like into a really pretty like PDF, I wish I could, but I suck at computer stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's you would think that someone would have created, well, maybe they have, would have come up with a easier tool to use for that, right? To kind of put it in the nice pretty format for D&D when you create a
A nicer
module.
editor. Yeah,
Yeah.
the editor is so rough. It's so rough. It's text based, so you have to do like. Have you ever opened like a program and there's like a notepad
Yeah,
file
yeah,
in
yeah,
it?
yeah. It's all with scripts is what they use. They're using
Code
scripts.
scripts,
Yeah,
computer script,
yeah.
and so you have to mildly learn computer script to use GM Binder, which is like fine. It doesn't bother me, especially once you start. I guess if learned the lingo and got used to the lingo, I bet you I could do it really fast. Um, but I don't.
Right, but
I don't
it's
wanna.
2026. We've had Windows
Yeah, why
for
are we doing
what
this?
30 or 40 years now. A GUI, right? A graphical user interface. That's what we want. That's what's going to make things faster for people, not having to take the time to learn this code for, a million
Eh,
people to learn the code versus 10 guys who learn the code and create the graphical user interface for it. But that's a whole other
it's
topic.
a free to use website. Microsoft Word you have to pay for now. Like, well, you don't. You can use the free version on Edge or whatever, but it sucks. And it has you'd have to find all the text and you'd have to find the cute boxes that they use and all that stuff. Whereas on GM's Binder, it's all there already, all of the script and all of the text and
Yeah,
all the
if you can
font
figure out how
that
to use
looks
it.
like Wizards of the Coast wrote it. And so a lot of DM's Guild, the website where you can go buy other people's created content for cheap or free, that stuff is all through GM's Binder, all of it. It's wild. I hate that website.
Yeah,
I
and
hate it.
you told me about that before, and I remember looking at it. And I was like, man, this is not easy. Like if you want to do this, like you really have to want to do it to make it look like you said, like a WotC production or publication. Yeah, you really gotta want it.
Well, and at that point, I guess you could charge the money for it because some people charge, a whole bunch of money for their like made campaigns on DM's Binder. It's
Yeah,
like $15 or $16 for a whole campaign.
which is cheap by
I
comparison to
digress.
WotC, right? When you pay what
Oh yeah,
50,
$50
50
book.
bucks for a WotC production, publication. So. Yeah, all right, but yeah, so there's huge differences. You can even take a 1E module and get the exact same thing in 5E now and see how vastly different they are, right? So, Saltmarsh, right? In
Oh,
in
Sinister
in
Secrets of
5E,
Saltmarsh.
they take the three module series and they put it all into one book. And
Mm.
I guess maybe that makes a campaign because you have a longer series, you know. But in 1E, they're three separate modules. And I kind of like that because what if I don't want to play all three? I just want to play the first, and then we're going to move on to something else. And it allows the DM as well to, in the challenge to the DM, to figure out how to transition from this, in essence, 1/3 of the series, just the first component, and transition to way over here in the world to the next module that the players that everyone wants to play, instead of having
Yeah,
to do
or
the whole
something.
thing.
Yeah, some new hotness that came out. Hey
Yeah,
guys, this just came out. Let's go play this really quick.
right.
Okay. Um, instead of just unorganically. So that's like an organic segue. Obviously, I inorganically segued, and I just asked the people at my table if they wanted to just stop playing. So like time has just froze in my
Yeah, but okay,
long-term
but
campaign.
that's not that's different because you put a pin in that altogether, right? Like you said, you froze it. It's
Yes, I froze it
cryogenically frozen. The characters are
in
frozen.
time and
Everything's
space.
done. Everything's frozen. And you said, let's go. Like we want to keep playing. We're just going to take a break from that for a little while. So let's go over here and play this instead. And presumably you have new characters and stuff for that.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, that's not so much inorganic. It's just that um, we're on hold, frozen in time, as you said. All right. So
Time.
yeah, 1E and 5E is very different. Is there anything else? Let me look at the PDF. Anything else that we should specifically highlight to really illustrate this? I have the Against the Cult of the Reptile God up.
You have way less. There's so like
There's no fluff at all.
there. Well, so I also was reading some of like the descriptor like paragraph, and you do the descriptors. Sometimes you don't read them word for word. Obviously, you paraphrase them. And some of them are a little different than what I remember us playing. But like you wanted to keep it moving. We were really dragging in our lane as a party. Especially before I joined the party, I feel like you guys were just shenanigansing, and you guys didn't really get very far. You had a small party of chaos goblins, and they wanted to be chaotic, and it kind of messed up the flow a little bit. But that happens. It is what it is. Um, there isn't a lot of fluff, but like sometimes I guess sometimes there is. So there's like you get the whatchamacallit, and then you get the paragraph below it. So like 8 is the stable. I guess I'm just stuck on the one page.
Okay.
And it has uh I don't know, a full paragraph of what the stable is, and who's there and who's outside, and then it has, yeah, 3 or 4 paragraphs of what's going on at this location.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong, but in 5e, they'd have every single one of these characters, like Killian Gade, right? He's the liveryman. He's the stable keeper, if you will.
You would probably get an
A
extra
full stat. You could
paragraph.
probably get a full stat block telling all about his personality, his motivations, and all this other stuff.
Not
No?
not always. So I'll find an example. Curse of Strahd's bad because again, it's like 50-50 stupid roleplay and whatchamacallit, roleplay plus. But let's see. I'll go to the village of Barovia, right? I'll find the get out of here. Okay, here's the village. So, um
What page are you
it
on?
talks about house occupants. I am now on 4344. And Ismark has his own like thing. But like Mad Mary doesn't. She is a um female human commoner. And that's all you get. Her daughter's gotten taken. You get that one paragraph about Mad Mary and Gertruda, and that's all you get.
Okay, so
You get
For
more about
Mad Mary, I see one, two, three paragraphs, but give me a comparison to someone who has who's more fleshed out.
more the page next to it. Ismark Kolyanovich is Irina's brother, and he has a whole giant paragraph below his picture
Yeah, I see
that
that. Yeah.
has its role playing suggestion if you want to role play him. But he's the main character of this town. He's like the guy who has all the information. Nobody else does. Everybody else hates your guts. He's like the main guy. And he becomes the mayor of Barovia if you help him correctly. So like he's an important NPC. And then Irina is also in here somewhere, but Irina's super important because she's also a main character. But like so on page 45, 46, you get another giant paragraph about how to roleplay Irina. But Irina stays with you for a quarter of the campaign. She becomes a party member. She's the main push for the bad guy. She's the bad guy's crush. So like she's a very important character. So yeah, I guess she
Yeah, I
should
see.
get a
Yeah, role
paragraph,
playing
you know?
Irina. Yeah, you got a quarter
Whole
page about that. Yeah. Okay.
but
So contrast that to against the Cult of the Reptile God. Still looking at that same page. You know the um, building 8, or even look at building 5, the Weaver's house and shop. Right. So looking at the livery stable, it has the box there, right, which is like the read out loud box kind of thing, very typical of D&D. It's a box that the writers feel as though that is safe for the DM to read out loud to the players. That's their descriptor of what they see,
flavor.
what they encounter. The next paragraph it
My
just says,
flavor.
like this village stable. Or this is the village stable. The characters' noses are already suggested, which means it smells, right? Much of the ground has been trampled, so it gives a little further description for the DM, and of course he could kind of use that to tweak that to add his own flavor or further, or even read that or part of that as well.
Yeah, sometimes I extend those boxes.
Then of course it tells who's there, who's this guy, who's the stable keeper, and that's Gillian Gade. It just says him and his wife and his kids live there. They don't like strangers. If so, she rush out to collect the kids if they encounter anyone. But it doesn't really tell you like how to role play that out. It doesn't tell you personality. It doesn't tell you how they behave, in every
Well, and he's a side
situation.
character, right?
So, well, yeah. So if you remember now, this is essentially a mystery, right? So there's a lot of strange shit going in town, and it's up to the party, the players, to figure it out. So through all the behaviors of these various NPCs here in town, they're supposed to kind of start to piece things together, at the very least, of who's been indoctrinated into the cult and who hasn't, based upon their behavior. Those who hadn't were the ones who were cautious and scared of
Right. Right.
outsiders.
So like
Um,
a page down is the mayor's block,
Correct.
and the mayor's block has a little bit of information on how you should play him.
Right, because like he's like the character, right?
A special
Yeah,
character, right?
But even at that,
It's not as much. It's not as mine. It's not as
no, no, it's not.
But that's because role play isn't the focus in first edition modules, right? I
Well,
mean,
no,
back
well,
in
no, I, I,
2014, it
I,
might
I
not
wouldn't
have been
necessarily say
either,
that at
but
all. I would just say that it allows the players and the DM to play it the way they want. They don't have as much guidance. They have to use their own, I don't want to say their own creativity, but they got to come up with their own stuff as to how they want to play that.
yeah.
So as a 1E DM, I would say in a sense it makes it more challenging because you don't have as much guidance.
Well, and like I was saying, this is just us talking about like the module versus module, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
There are hundreds of thousands of players, and probably the percentage is a lot higher of people who just homebrew their own shit. And they have these massive worlds with all this lore and stuff where they write their own like stuff all the time. We're just going over,
All right,
a a,
so let
a
me.
versus on campaign
Yeah.
modules.
All right, so
And I guess you, Keith, could make your own campaign too. You don't necessarily
I mean,
have to follow
I
the
certainly
module as
could.
well,
I
right?
certainly
Yeah.
could. And I would feel comfortable and confident in doing that. I just don't want to take the time. I'm running 2.5 games a week. I don't have time for that. I want to see if I can pull up Saltmarsh because there's a 5e version of that and a 1e version. That'll give us really a better
Oh, yeah,
comparison
maybe. Yeah, maybe
once
we
my
can do
slow
that
computer
instead.
decides to cooperate here. So
I'll stay on archive. Archive will probably find it for me.
let me at least get our video back up here. Yeah, Adobe's not playing nice right now. Hang on, let me see if I can shut that
Internet
down.
Archive. Ghosts of Saltmarsh
Okay.
board game.
Okay, so there's Ghosts of
Board
Saltmarsh
game.
in 5th edition, and let me pull up 1st edition.
I need D&D, please. Get all this yoga out of my face. There's a bunch of audio.
Okay, so
Somebody posted their.
in 1st edition, the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh is the first of 3 modules in like a series. And in
A ship set.
5e, in fairness to them, in 5e they put all 3 of these together in one single campaign book, and they
Yes.
called it Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Excuse me.
Internet Archive has failed me.
Okay, hang on. Sinister Secret. Did I lose that one too? Looks like I lost that too. Well, that's sucky. I'm gonna have to quickly download that then.
That's sucky. Any
Okay.
flip. Any flip will do me good right now. I don't need a full PDF. I just need the flippy. Oh, that's such a pretty picture. Well, also, so that's another thing that that fifth edition does that first edition doesn't do
What's that?
is all the pretty art.
Oh yeah, well, they're much more colorful in 5th edition. I'll definitely grant you that. They do have more artwork. That
Some of
that
the
is
some of the
absolutely for
pages
sure.
are full of art. They're a little bit more full of art, and it's bloat art. It's just like pretty art. Sometimes I hold up a book to my players, and I'm like, "Look at this! Look at
Oh
this
yeah,
thing right
we used to
here!
do that all the time in 1st edition, right?
Look
Because
at this thing!"
they'd have this little tiny graph.
Picture
It,
of a
it was it was
guy.
a line drawing. Really, it wasn't colorful and graphical. It was a line drawing in the module depicting something, and we would the DM would cover up, get all kinds of extra pieces of paper, cover up everything on that page except that image to say, here, look, this is your graphic.
Your three are Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh in 1981, Danger at Dunwater in 1982. Oh, it has other ones too. It has Savage Operation, Isle of the Abbey, The Final Enemy,
The final enemy, yeah.
Tom Tomrose Fate, and The Styes, all shoved into one book. Presented below are the credits from the classic adventures, plural, that inspired the updated tale found in this book. For more on each adventure's origin and its place in D&D history, see about the original section featured near the beginning of each adventure. And it talks about a lot of these. Well, not talks about. It goes over like the whole rundown.
Yeah, so
So it's
that
actually
that was
one,
in the
two, three, four, five, six, seven little campaigns shoved into one.
let's see, but the Secret of Saltmarsh, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, was one of three. It was U1, U2, and U3. So I'm not sure where those other two came from.
And Danger at Dunwater.
Danger at Dunwater was the third one.
Okay, so two's. I don't know where two is then.
So it was the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh was the first of the series. Oh, Danger at Dunwater was the second, and then the Final Enemy was the third in the three-part series.
Oh, okay. Final Enemy is in here. Final Enemy came out in. It looks like 83 as well. So they all came out in and around the 80s. 82, 81, and 83. And then Savage Operation, Tome Rose Fate, and the Styes were all in the early 2000s. But even then, that's still Savage Operation, Final Enemy, and the Styes are all from around what edition do you think that is? Second, third?
Well, the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, that trilogy is
Is
AD&D
first.
first
Yeah.
edition, right, right, right.
Yeah.
But those
2004, 2005.
the other ones you're talking about, like I've never heard of them by name.
Mm.
Let me see.
But you kind of you got like you took a like when did you stop playing?
When did I stop playing? I stopped playing
When did
approx.
you took like a giant
Oh
break?
yes, I did. I stopped playing approximately. Hang on, do some math here.
When you were little, when you were like 11 or
13,
12.
I don't know. I want to say somewhere around like 85, 88.
Uh, so then you wouldn't. So then you're probably in second edition, going
Right. So right. So
at the
in
very
terms of
like
in terms of a
end
chronology,
beginning of second edition.
second edition had been released towards the tail end of my playing as a player, and then of course we started playing as a DM slash player. The last few years, and second edition had come out. I do remember that because I do remember one of my friends buying the second edition player's handbook.
Mm-hmm.
I may have actually had a copy as well, but at the time we didn't realize like it was a whole other game. We just thought like it was like your textbook at school, right? You get a new edition. It's not nothing. It's not completely different.
It's the
Maybe they
same
just
thing.
reformatted a little bit, right? And this and that. We didn't realize, of course, at the time what we know that we don't know now, or we didn't know then what we know now
I know
about
now. Yeah, second edition
about it.
it wasn't that drastic a change. I feel like
No,
second to third was worse, right?
correct, right?
Second to third, skills became a thing.
Because in third edition, that's when you really started, at least, I'm not sure if it was third or 3.5, when they really introduced the D20 concept.
Yeah,
Everything's
D20
D20
concept.
based. Yeah. So, all right, let me, for our illustration here, let me get Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh here up on my screen. I can have it kind of side by side with um, 5e.
I don't have the first ed. Well, I found the fifth ed one. I don't have the first ed one.
Oh, shit. I could have just sent that to you.
Beep it to me.
Hang on.
Beep it to me!
History.
When do we start recording? Like 9:45?
I'll tell you in a second. Hang on.
Too many screens! I only have one
Yeah,
computer!
it's
Never again!
okay, you want to know how long we've been recording? We started recording. We've been recording now for 38 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. Let's get these two up, and we can see how they're different. Same but different, right? Because now we're talking a true, apple to apple kind of comparison. It's exact same module. So let me open this up here. Let's go to first edition.
We're just gonna do like the first one. You're not gonna send me like all three
just the
PDFs.
Sinister,
Okay, I was about to
Secret
say
Saltmarsh,
thumb
yeah.
through 3 PDFs.
see. Books, publications.
Politics.
All right. Where is it? Sinister. Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. Okay, so I have that loading up
Commerce.
as my PDF here. Let me send that over
Militia.
to you.
Oh, here's the map. Map! Oh, that's a pretty tiny
My
map.
computer's
See,
being
this
wicked
is a tiny
slow.
map. My computer's wicked. You have been a little like grainy and delayed every once in a while as
Well,
well.
I'm in fairness to that though, I'm working off my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone.
Uh,
So
well, also you have a bunch of stuff open right now, and you have things like
yeah, but I watched that too. I'm only at 42% utilization of my memory.
I got you.
All right, how do I send a file to you in Discord while I'm on a video call with you?
The plus upload a file. Oh, just make
Oh
sure
yeah,
you're
yeah, I
not in
got it, I
full
got it, I got it,
screen.
I got it. I got to open up my
Yeah,
little chat. Okay, hang on.
yeah. Exit full screen or open up the chat,
Yeah, okay,
whatever.
there it is. There it is. All right, so if anyone's actually watching this video, this is as boring as hell. But once again, this is not what we do. We're not professionals at this stuff. All right, and my computer's being so fucking slow. Okay. Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. All right, you ready, Julie? Here it comes to you. Maybe. I don't know why. Like it got slow all of a sudden. Oh, the file size is too big. I can't send it to you.
No.
After all that.
Can you just upload it on your drive on your OneDrive?
Well, yeah, but as slow as my computer is, be just as quick for you to find it.
Okay, I'll find
Yeah,
it. Give
yeah,
me the website.
a PDF, download PDF, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and you'll find it. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so we're still recording that. All right. All right, so
Internet Archive. TSR 09062. Okay, I got it. I got Internet Archive on one, and I got Any Flip on the other. The town.
okay, so to that point, let's look at 1E, the 1E module of Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and navigate your way to the town. Okay, scroll past the first few pages of the town of Saltmarsh. Okay, right there on page number 3 of the module,
3.
page 5 of the PDF. Okay, it tells you the town of Saltmarsh. Okay, if you look at the second paragraph there, therefore, if there is to be adequate background to this series, the DM is recommended to prepare the town quite thoroughly. Using the guideline presented in this module as the basis for that preparation, the DM's own style and preferences will govern just how much preparation is done and in how much detail. But it is suggested that attention be given to at least some of the following: the town council,
5
prominent
things.
local citizens, draw a map of the town, decide where the characters could stay and rest, taverns, inns, etc., and decide where to locate the town's palace. That's what it tells you.
Places of worship.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what you got for the town. That's it.
The,
Now, granted,
in
this particular
the
module has always
5e.
been criticized for that. It's always been criticized for that. But now, if we go back to Ghost of Saltmarsh, let me flip
It's
my page.
on mine it's page 7 and 8 of the book is where it starts. Chapter 1, Saltmarsh.
Yeah, I see that. All right, let me scroll
Um
down to that.
And so it goes through politics and factions,
Oh,
and you get
it
the
goes
whole
into okay, it
rundown.
goes into depth. It has everything there for you. Yeah,
The
politics and
whole rundown.
fashions. And
And then if you keep going
not only does
through,
it give you the different factions, the traditionalists, the loyalists, it has the specific characters. Ida Olin, who's senior council member.
Elander Fireborn.
Yeah, Gellin Primewater. It has all of this fleshed out in obviously in great depth as we've talked about. This here is a good example of 5e, how it tells you their personality traits, their ideals, their bonds, their flaw, like everything,
Everything.
everything.
And then it goes into like Salt Marsh overview. And so it's law and order, militia and defense, commerce, docks. Yeah. And then it goes into mood of the town. And then it goes into all the different locations and it gives you a little chunk of what's in every single little location. And there's, I don't know, 30 buildings in Saltmarsh. It gives you
So I will say,
30
when I
buildings.
ran the Sins of Secret of Saltmarsh in first edition, which was an in-person game, I
Did
utilized
you rip that
5e.
map?
I utilized 5e. Like
Rip
I
it.
used that map. I used the
Rip the
descriptions
shit out of that map.
of the council people. I mean, I didn't follow like their storyline per se, but I used that as a guide for me, something to get me started. And use the map and certain buildings here and there. The in this particular one, the adventure, so to speak, doesn't really happen here. It happens down the road at the
Later.
haunted house,
Yeah.
right? So what's going on here is not that critical, at least initially, and especially if you're only going to play the one. If you're going to play all three and you're going to draw this out, then
It's
what's
going over
going
the
on
whole
in the town
region.
becomes a little more important because there's a lot of political stuff going on there, or at least it was for us. Okay, so what it was for us was there was some piracy going on,
What an old school
some
map.
smuggling going on there in town. So there was some internal turmoil amongst the town and the town council. The it's a town that's been there for a while, for generations. No one had any problems, even with the smuggling. Leave us alone. And then the government decided they wanted to come in because they saw the prosperity of the town and they want in. And then, of course, when the government comes in, they want everything to be prim and proper, and they're not okay with the smuggling because they're losing out on money, yada, yada, yada. That was the political side of things. But that doesn't really take away from the haunted
It like
house.
ripped. It like ripped the
It's a
the
whole different
maps.
thing.
Like 100% ripped the maps from the modules.
Let me see if I can get this to work
Almost
now.
ripped the map from the module. It's pretty darn close.
Adobe Acrobat is not liking me right now. It's kind of frozen on me.
Adobe Acrobat is a mother trucker.
So, yeah, so I mean, I utilize all that to at least kind of give me a little bit of a foundation or a framework, to work with. Um,
All
but,
player handouts. I love those.
but
Those
in
are
all
cute.
honesty, to really master just the town council alone is a lot. There's whatever 5, 6 members of the town council, and to play them all like as they're written, no, like that was too much. I selected I think three, and I kind of worked with those three. Some were the loyalists, some were the traditionalist kind of thing,
Well,
and there's a
it
little
also depends on
conflict.
how much you wanted to like get into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for some campaigns, that's probably like a couple months of a campaign
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
where it's just a
as
bunch
it
of
was for us
Politico.
with Orlane, right? The
Sticking around
farming
in
village of
Orlane.
Orlane in the
Yeah.
Against the Cult of the Reptile Gods module, right? You guys spent a long time there, which was fine. We had fun with it, right? That's what we didn't mind. That's what we wanted to do. But yeah, we spent a lot of time there.
Oh, look at the little blurb about the original. That's so cute. Produced by UK branch of TSR in 1981, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh was designed by Dave J. Brown and Don Turnbull. It was a revelation at the time, marking the first appearance in a D&D adventure of a haunted house and a raid on a sailing ship. Also set in this
Where are you reading this?
page 38 of the book. I do not
Okay,
know the page
that's
of the
okay.
PDF.
Page 38 of the book.
It's at the very
I
bottom.
see it. I see it. Yep,
Little
I
tiny
see it.
blurb. For
Yeah.
TSR UK's subsequent output, which often featured strong central narratives that challenge players to take a creative approach to problem solving. They usually include multiple smaller locations to explore, lending a sense of variety to a single adventure. That's cool. Marking the first appearance in a D&D adventure of a haunted house and a ship.
All right. So if we look at the 1E version of this, if Adobe will cooperate, it didn't have the town at all. It told you to make the town.
No,
But
it literally told you to draw the map.
yep, and it said, but focus on these points of the town. Okay. It goes on to say the legend, which is essentially the background to this dilapidated haunted house. A few
It gives
general
you some
notes there on the
notes.
next page, right?
Yeah.
It says make a reference to Monster Manual and Fiend Folio. So now in 5e, what they would do there is they would inject or insert here on page 4 of the module. Well, they'd probably put it in the appendix at the end, but instead of saying for full details, consult the Monster Manual or the Fiend Folio, they would probably put a whole 2-3 pages at the end as an appendix of what it is they want you to
So
look up.
maybe also, I mean, there is probably an appendix. Also, so on chapter 2, that same page that we were looking at that had the little blurb about TSR's original,
Mm-hmm.
on the page next to it, it says Sun Ballet's gang, Sun Ballet's
Yeah,
gang.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, in the paragraph, you see that there's like those bolded words.
Mm-hmm.
Some ballet, see Appendix C, so he has his own stat block, but also 2 hobgoblins, and it's in bold, 4 bandits, and 4 scouts. So
Right.
hobgoblins, bandits, and scouts are found in the monster manual, and you should just open the monster manual to those pages. Those
Okay.
guys, hobgoblins, bandits, scouts, are not in the appendix. But Sun Ballet, the guy who has a name, is probably in the appendix.
Right, right. Well, and it says that, but so hang on. So you're telling me if I look in a 5e monster manual, there's going to be a creature called Scout?
Yeah,
Really? That seems
yeah.
so generic of a creature, a scout or a bandit.
It's just they're Yeah, and so you use those stat blocks. You can give them names and stuff, but you use those generalized stat blocks for those kind of guys. So, like, I have an NPC in our Icewind Dale game, and he's a like a he was hired by the group, hired to help them traverse the wilderness to go and help find an item. He's a scout. I made him a scout, so he's like a ranger NPC, but he doesn't have a full stat block. It's like the stat block's like this big. It's like a
Yeah,
whole like 3 inches.
but right. So I get it. So he's a ranger. That's really what he is, and his job, so to
He's a
speak.
dumbed down ranger.
But I don't know. It just seems silly to have a creature, if you will, a monster, a creature in the monster manual called a scout, because that could be anything can be a scout.
There is Well, I mean, anything could be a scout, but in the back of the monster manual is humanoid or humans. It's a human appendix. So there are guards, scouts, um, cultists, spies, and that's their little stat block. And they can be whoever you want them to be, but that's their little stat block. And they have a couple little things that they can do, and they have a challenge rating and whatever to tell you how hard they should be to fight. But you can like attach that stat block to any NPC you want to make, so that you don't have to make a whole character sheet or roll up a whole character sheet. Like Tolan, in our 1E game, you make actual little character sheets. But Tolan could theoretically just be a spy in 5th edition. He could just have a spy stat block. And so then he wouldn't be a fully fledged character, he would just be a spy.
Okay. So getting back here to Ghost of Saltmarsh. Okay. 5th edition. I'm looking at page 29 of the of the module. Saltmarsh backgrounds. Oh my God. Fishing
Of
Tales.
which one?
Page 29 of 5th edition, Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Oh, the 5th edition. Okay.
Fishing Tales. Roll a d8 for Fishing Tales.
Oh, yeah. These
You
are
know,
like
suggested
random tables.
suggested characters. Fisher personality traits. Fisher
Yeah,
ideals.
yeah. You don't have to
Fisher,
use
I
those.
mean,
A lot of
come
people.
on.
A lot of
Saltmarsh
people don't
defining
do those.
event. Fisher
It's for people
flaws.
who
Come on.
don't know like what to do. Those are for people who don't want to make a decision.
Oh, but wait, there's more. There's the Guild
I
Artisans,
know.
Mariners Guild, and
I
the
know.
Dwarven's Artisans, and the Hermit. Let's roll about the Hermit. And then there's the Marines, and more
Yes,
suggested
yes, yes, yes,
characters.
yes.
And oh
You
my
don't have to. You could
God.
just make some. You could just make some guys. You don't have to do none of that.
Right, but like
Yeah.
all this fluff is here, and I get it.
Oh, there
It
is.
it can be useful. I get it, but when you rely so heavily on these quote random tables, then
I sent
it
you a
becomes a
scout stat
crutch.
block.
It becomes so much of a crutch, and I don't think it fosters enhancing your skill as a DM. Oh, I shouldn't say it. No, I take that back at all. It'll aid you, but if you become too dependent upon it and you don't use it as a tool to further develop your
Yeah.
skills as a
I was
DM.
about to say. I like to use them as tools. I like to add them to my little repertoire. I don't do none of that. I kind of just make people up as I go.
But there's a
Um,
whole
uh,
lot
uh,
of
on Friday, uh, Chase did it to me on purpose, and he called me out a little bit on it, and he was like, "Improv time now. Go do the thing. You don't have any of this prepared. Make it up. Do it."
Well,
And I
right,
was
okay,
like,
yeah,
"Okay, fine.
and
I'll
so
make it up."
all that ties into prep, like all that shit that we're talking about on these whatever 10 pages of these tables to create smugglers' ideals and
You don't
personality
gotta do all
traits,
that.
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I gotta
Right,
do all that.
all that should be done ahead of time in your DM prep.
Oh
You
yeah,
can't be
and
doing that right then and there on the fly because it's going to become so
no,
slow, so cumbersome, so
yes,
obvious that you're not prepared. And the fact that you're doing it on the fly like that and the players know that, that means it's not important, or they're going to perceive that as being
right.
not important.
And like maybe you're not super good at improv. Maybe improv is like your worst skill ever, and you can't just make up a character on the fly. So like in our Everon campaign on Friday, Chase is like a mule, I guess, for a secret mob. And I had to like have this encounter with him and his boss, and I made this little halfling mobster off the top of my head, and he was the definition of a halfling mobster. He had a New York, New Jersey kind of accent,
Cats.
and he acted like a little mob boss, and he had slick back hair and a cigar. Um, yeah, my party thought it was so fucking funny. Um, but I pulled all that out of my butt, cause I didn't have any of that prepared at all.
Seven
Zero prep.
pages, 7 pages of that BS fluff about all these personality
Making a
traits and
guy.
ideals and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meh. You don't gotta do all that.
No, no, you don't. And then finally it gets into the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh in chapter 2, the background and so on. So,
You could just what I would do is that I really didn't know how to like make a guy. I would just pick one. I would read the brick, that little brick of text, and I would just pick one that I liked.
okay. So
I
on
don't
page
roll for it.
39, the Ghost of Saltmarsh,
Just pick a
on
fun
page
one.
39, you've made your way to the house, the haunted house, okay?
Yeah.
And on page 39, it gives you the read out loud box for the house exterior and a read out loud box for traveling to the house. Now, if you contrast that to first edition, the read out loud boxes are nearly word for word. I'm kind of okay. So entrance hall. Hang on.
Really? They ripped them?
Oh
They just
yeah. Oh
ripped
yeah.
them clean
Oh yeah.
out of
Yeah.
the.
So
I feel like the maps are too. Did you see the maps for the haunted house?
yeah. Yeah.
For it's on the next page. It's
Yeah.
literally
I
the
mean,
next page. So on
in
page
fifth edition,
41,
they make it all pretty and colorful, but
it's designed. The layout's a little different. But if you like go to the page for the haunted house in first edition, that map looks very similar.
okay. So on page 7 of first edition and page come on and on page 40 of fifth edition is the library. And in fifth edition, the read out loud box says the room was once a library with bookshelves around the walls. Most of the shelves are broken, and in many places they have come away from the wall. A few shelves still intact are empty, but a pile of books rests in the southwest corner. And then you look at that in first
TSRs.
edition,
Mm.
and it's the exact same thing. Okay, well, which is good because that's
They did credit the original module multiple times.
so. I mean, like I don't have an issue with that. That's good because they felt they didn't need to change that stuff. But then you look at the descriptor after that is where I'm
The
kind of
study.
building up to in the library, looking at the library still.
Yeah.
And there it's not. it's still almost identical.
14 books in
So
deep.
the
That
module
kind of thing.
itself, and you can do the same thing, press on to room three, the study. Um, the module itself is really almost identical for or the house, the structure, the actual, where the adventure takes place, is almost identical word for word. The
Yeah, I
town,
mean, why change something that's so good? Yeah, and so that's the what you were saying. The main critic was, I don't want to draw my own town. Give me more, please.
yeah, yeah,
And
and
Watsi said, say no more, fam.
yeah. So for me as the
Have too
DM,
much.
I mean, I didn't need all that 5e gave me. I mean, I would have liked to have had a map. I would have liked to have had a town. Identify just a few buildings even. Throw a couple characters in there, but it doesn't need to be fully fleshed out for me. I could have winged that, or I could have managed that. But 5e I think goes too far, and that's or WotC I
Oh, I think
suppose.
so too.
Um,
Uh,
and
well, the generated the like official modules.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
they're a little too much sometimes as
They
well.
are.
Sometimes
They're
I'm
too
like,
much.
this is really cool. I like reading this. Do I need this? No.
No. But yeah, I
Do
think
I need
I think they go too far. That's what.
a little bit? And I think some of that is like a writing thing that they give the writers, the people who make these books, kind of a full like whatever. And they're editors and stuff like that, and they're probably trying to gauge, a certain audience and whatever to get them to sell. It's a product. They want to
Yeah.
sell the book,
Well, and a word count too.
Probably there's probably a level of word count. It's a $50 book. You might as well make it a certain word count. If it's below a certain word count, then we're gonna have to make it cheaper. If we make it cheaper, then we're not gonna, get all the profit and the money. And I want the money, you
All
know.
right, but you were saying the map was different. I'm looking at the map; they look identical as well of the
No, I
haunted
said the map
house.
was like exactly the
Okay,
same.
yeah,
I said
yeah,
the map
yeah.
looked
Right.
really
So in essence,
familiar.
the module itself, I say the adventure itself, like where it happens, the house, the
Core.
dungeon layer underneath and stuff, it's identical. Descriptions are identical. Everything's identical.
Yeah.
It's just the town
There
that
might be
was
some differences
non-existent
in
in
like
first
creatures and
edition,
treasure.
and it was overly fleshed out in fifth edition.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Page 48 or 47 and 48.
Of the
That map also looks very old school. And instead
oh
of it
shit.
being a stark blue background, it's that little sketchy background.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You talking about the fifth edition map of the house?
Yeah. Well, the basement of
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
house
I see
and
it. Yeah, yeah.
the like dungeon part of the
Yeah,
house.
you know what? It looks like they use Dungeon Scroll website to make that.
Right, exactly. Like way before Dungeon Scroll was a thing, because this book came out in what, 2020, I don't know, 2019, 2022, something like that. Hold on, I'll go back to the first page.
But if nothing else, if anyone actually watches this and you're a DM, don't fall into the confines of what is in
Anyone
the
not our
module.
friends.
Um,
May of
it's okay to
2019.
modify the module, be flexible with it, add things, omit things, make it what you need it to be for a homogeneous tale to be told by the players in their actions, or the characters, excuse me, the characters in their actions. And I say that to really emphasize that because the actions of the characters should be influential, should affect the world around them. Case in point, on Friday we're playing the Keep on the Borderlands, and the way the party has interacted with Marty, the tavern keeper, has really changed the way he in turn interacts with them. He was me as the DM. He was intended to be a mentor kind of role or a guide for the party, but because the way they've been interacting with him, it has completely changed. I can't use him for that role anymore because it just doesn't fit. It truly doesn't fit.
And
Um,
now you have to make a new guy.
to the point where like they tried to charm him and failed.
Oh no.
So
No.
it didn't go
No.
it didn't go
Oh,
well. So I can't use him to be like their friend anymore.
because
He's
he
almost
knows at
become
that point,
adversarial.
right?
Yeah, he's a very high level magic user.
Hey, 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 an adversary can still be a mentor.
I suppose I
You can still
suppose.
learn things from people who hate your gut. A rival. He could be a rival.
Yeah. Oh my, well, I don't know. Like he's still in a positive kind of role for them. I'm just not sure like how I'm going to really use him moving forward. I might need to kind of put a pin in him and revisit him at a later point in time, or just put him to
What are you
rest.
guys playing on? What module are you playing on Friday?
They keep on the Borderlands.
Oh,
So
I
we're,
gotcha,
we're
I
we're getting
gotcha.
pretty close to kind of finishing it. So I'm at a point where I need to start thinking like, what's next? What's
How long
next?
have you guys have been playing that for
I don't know, a few months.
close to a year?
Mm,
Oh no,
I
yeah,
don't know.
way under a year,
Yeah.
a
Now
few months.
on Sunday nights, every other Sunday, give or take, I'm playing the same one, and
Still
we've been
playing.
playing that for over
Yeah.
a year, and we're not even close to coming to completion on that. Not even close. But I will say, in fairness, not only do we play every other week, we've had some player changes over the whatever
Yeah.
12 to 16 months, but also that I've injected much more background, much more local lore for them to kind of like play around with.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
more content means longer time.
correct. Yep. But the bottom line, and the most important fact, the most important thing is that both game groups playing the same game but separately, are enjoying it. We're all having fun. We were laughing so loud, so hard Friday night. I was still laughing about it yesterday.
Yeah, you guys posted a bunch of fun stuff. You guys have you've gained the silly a couple silly characters, or a couple more lighthearted players,
Yes,
and it definitely brings something to the table
it
to have a couple hearted
it has
goofballs.
it very quickly changed the dynamic in a positive way. It,
Right,
it,
right,
it
right.
really did.
And
Yeah.
that goes back to like not the negative player stereotypes, but the positive player stereotypes.
Yes.
And maybe we could even look at doing a video on positive player stereotypes instead of
So
toxic player stereotypes
oh,
like
I
we did
agree.
before.
What makes for a good player and stuff, and good.
Yeah.
But more than anything, when we've talked about this before, and I drive this home all the time, it's about finding the good match, right, between players
Oh,
amongst
the
the players
synergy.
themselves,
Yeah.
right, the synergy, and then you match the player um, congealing the player group dynamic to that of the DM and their play style, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they're separate, but they do
And
have
when
to
it
come
all
together,
falls
right? Right.
together,
And when it
yeah,
all comes
it makes for
together,
a
it's
great
oh
game.
my god, it's
Yeah.
so freaking awesome. It's so awesome.
And that's what makes the game, like this is what it is. This is what D&D is.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted all along,
Yeah, and to that same point, like that's why I was a little disappointed when we lost Felicia on Tuesday, because we had kind of congealed. We had a nice dynamic there with us, and her absence, I think, is still reflected, as we're still kind of integrating Oz, our new player, into the folds, and trying to kind of still continue to learn each other's styles and such. So, all right, Julie, we're at an hour, so let me at least stop this video
Yeah.
on our kind of haphazard discussion about 1E versus 5E
Oh.
modules. So, all right, I'm putting a pin in it. I'm pressing stop record. You all have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Peace.